We're not at all. But let's peek while we're here before we get into the shoes of the matter. Let's just peek real quick at what's going to happen in the future. My son's downstairs screaming. We can't hear him anymore because I moved upstairs. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. I can't tell from these 4 videos if this guy is still on the stand or not. But this is a new guy. Did we see? We saw him in the prelim, I think. I think. Oh, geez, that's a giant board. All right. This is a new girl. We got to get to the defense. We're so far away from July. Oh my gosh, it goes from June 30th to July 5th. They took a nice, healthy break. That must be, I don't know. It probably isn't, but that must be where the prosecution rests case. I don't know that, but it would make sense that they take a nice break so that... Hey, wait a second. He's on the stand. Wait. No, because look, he's still on the stand. Is he the guy with the board back here? Please say no. Please say... Ah, sugar. Is that him? Oh, I can't tell. I don't know if that's him or a different guy. Is this guy equal to... No, it's not him. They're 2 different guys. So, I don't know. There's only one way to find out. On the 7th. Okay, so the 5th, they take a long break. They come back on the 5th. And then the prosecution has 2 days left after that long break. That's okay. Here we go. Wait, double check. I think it's fine. It is.
This area with the flashlight, would that qualify as a competent search for shoe impressions in that area?
If they were using the flashlight specifically in that manner and were carefully looking, that light would be adequate for finding them, yes.
Okay, now let's talk about shoe prints impressions on the walkway at a nighttime.
I got a weird message about my current bit rate for my stream. Is my stream okay? Is there anything wrong with my stream that you can see?
Done for locating shoe impressions on a nighttime search on the walkway.
Just a portable light source to light up the area.
Would a flashlight qualify as an oblique type light?
Well, you wouldn't use it. I'm sorry. You wouldn't use an oblique light source on a concrete. You would just want to illuminate it. The concrete is not an area where you're likely to find dust impressions because it has so much residual dust to begin with. So, and because it's very rough and porous and uneven. So to look at that surface with a light surface is unlikely to produce anything. But just looking for opaque impressions such as the blood impressions, just the high intensity light. You could use a flashlight, but the brighter the light, the easier it would be.
Okay. Now, switching to a daytime search, what kind of search would you do in the area of what we call the caged off area in the soil during the day?
In the daytime, the amount of light around you is so much more intense than these portable light sources that basically at that point you're just looking for any depressions in the soil with just your naked eye and the existing light.
And if that was done, would that be a competent search of that area during the day?
Actually, the light source, oblique light source at night would make it easier to see those depressions than trying to look at them on a bright sunny day.
And if you did both, would that be a competent search of that area?
Yes.
Now, with respect to a daytime search of the area that we've been referring to as the walk, which is made of the tiles and concrete, what would constitute a competent search of this area for bloody shoe prints and also possible latent shoe prints during the day?
Well, the bloody shoe prints, of course, would for just searching for them or for recovering them?
Well, let's start searching for them.
Okay, searching for them, again, just a light source that would enable you to adequately see the sidewalk area. Daylight would be better. If you were looking at night, any light source that was adequate enough to illuminate the sidewalk so you could see the sidewalk would be adequate. The brighter the light, obviously, it would make it easier.
What about using, we've heard testimony about oblique light and alternate light and all these fancy things. What about using those on the surface that we're referring to as the walkway, the concrete, and the tile for the purpose of trying to look for latent shoe prints? Shouldn't that have been done?
Well, I have never seen a latent shoe print except in one occasion, which was a rarity in Florida. I haven't seen a latent shoe print on a concrete surface in all of the other cases I've worked, because concrete is inherently dusty and dirty and rough and porous, and for a flat surface, in order to see those minute residue impressions, you have to literally skim the surface, and you can't do that with an oblique light source on concrete, a concrete walkway such as this, because magnified, it's going like this, and the light, which has cast a lot of shadows and irregularities. Secondly, a residue impression would not occur on this sidewalk, because residue meaning dust or dirt, because as I had mentioned before, whether you're walking across the carpeting here or concrete, you're picking up the same and redepositing the same residue, and you wouldn't see any differentiation. I only had one case where I saw someone walk across wet sand in Florida, and then the sand was deposited on the concrete and gave adequate differentiation to leave impressions. Other than that, I've never seen one on concrete.
Okay, well, what about using some other technique like an electrostatic dust print lifter in order to look for latent prints that might have existed on the walkway area during a daytime search?
It wouldn't be applicable for residue impressions, because you're picking up the same residue and putting it down. The only time the electrostatic lifting device is of use is when you step on something relatively clean. So if there was an object that was clean laying across the walkway, and you were picking the residue up from the normal concrete and then stepped on that clean object, then you could make a lift of that object and you may recover a footwear impression, but you wouldn't recover it from the walkway itself.
So in your view, if a visual search was made for shoe prints at night using flashlight on the surface that we referred to as the walkway, and then also a visual daytime search was made for shoe prints on that walkway, would that be a competent way of processing this crime scene as far as shoe prints are concerned?
Well, it would be, let me say that you
Because
you
of the
wouldn't
OJ
find any other
trial?
prints on a concrete walkway like that, other than something like
I know,
water, grease,
T.
or water.
T, I know, because the real killer is still at large. We don't know who killed Nicole and Ron. The real killer is at large. I would too. I would get a dog too.
Which of course would evaporate very quickly. You're not going to find any other kind of, you're not going to find three-dimensional impressions, you're not going to find dry residue impressions, you're only going to find opaque type of impressions on concrete. So looking at it with a light source, just a white light source, a visual situation, daytime or a light source at night, is what you would need just to visualize those impressions.
Okay, now we've heard a lot of testimony in this case about booties and trampling over latent footprints. What do you feel about wearing, should the officers in this case that searched the crime scene initially and walked through what we referred to as the walkway area that's concrete and tile, should they have worn booties?
Actually, the impressions would have been dry probably within 5 to 10 minutes, with the exception of the large quantities of blood around the victim and perhaps underneath the victim. And so those impressions wouldn't be affected whether the person had booties on or was just wearing their regular shoes. In the areas immediately adjacent to the victims, where there was larger quantities of blood that were perhaps shielded from the air, the tackiness of the blood might last a little longer. And in looking at crime scene material that's sent to me, the only occasion with regard to blood impressions that we ever get secondary impressions from police officers or paramedics are those which result when they come to the scene and maybe turn the body over to see if they, to verify they're deceased or to give them the necessary attention, and uncover those previously shielded areas that might still be tacky. So with regard to the ones down the walkway, from A on, it wouldn't matter if they were wearing booties or just their shoes. They would not affect those impressions.
What is your position on wearing booties? And I'm referring strictly to not health issues, but the question of preserving footprints at a crime scene.
Well, I think the purpose of wearing booties might extend into other areas of forensic science where they're perhaps trying to preserve other types of evidence as well. Simply with regard to footwear impressions, the booties, actually, I have seen some booty prints more often around the body, as I previously described, than I have shoe prints. So they seem to have more of an affinity
Finally.
for
Yes, sir.
the pattern of the booty.
Please tell us more about booty prints. Please. On the hood of the car. Never mind.
Than a person's shoes do in themselves, just tracking their shoe print.
So does that mean that you are recommending or not recommending the wearing of booties when a health issue is not a concern in terms of footprint recovery?
Except for the area, like I mentioned, right around the body, it doesn't make any difference. It's just that it's cloth, and cloth tends to pick up stuff more than leather or rubber, so
Okay.
it doesn't really make that much difference.
Now, sir, with respect to what you understand of the crime scene processing of the shoe prints from your conversations that you presumably, well, let me ask you this first. When you went to the scene with Mr. Fung, did you have some conversations with him relating to the shoe prints in this case?
What aspect of the shoe prints?
Well, where they were, how they were recovered, and so on, how they were photographed and the like.
I had conversations with him and other people prior to coming out here to ascertain whether there were any other photographs of any other footwear impressions that I had not been given. And in coming out here, I reviewed many photographs of the general crime scene to make sure that there wasn't anything overlooked with regard to footwear impression evidence. So I was pretty familiar with that prior to coming out to the Bundy scene.
All right. And based upon that, as well as your reviewing of the evidence in this case that you previously discussed and your understanding of how the scene was processed, was the scene, insofar as shoe prints are concerned, processed in a competent manner when you're comparing it to what you've grown to understand as the national standard in the forensic community?
With regard just to the photographs or the whole
The
scene?
photographs in the scene.
The photographs were adequate. They are better than most that we receive in the laboratory.
Okay. And what about the rest of the processing?
Well, I would have, as I previously stated, tried a protein stain or some other chemical enhancement on the impressions. In cases of bloody impressions on a light-colored surface, such as this walkway, in most cases, the chemical enhancement gives very little additional enhancement. But I would have tried it as a practice. If we had a pair of shoes to compare with these tracks, then perhaps that fine difference between what we might have achieved with chemical enhancement versus what we have with good photographs might have made a difference. For purposes of determining what size shoe it was and what pattern it was, which you can see already with the photographs, it wouldn't have made any difference.
So in terms of what you're used to getting at the FBI for purposes of analysis in the area of shoe prints, was the quality of the work that was done here in terms of shoe prints pretty high?
Well, I can only judge by what I received, and
Okay.
what I received was good quality for comparison purposes.
Now, you were asked some questions about various hypotheticals in terms of how these two shoe prints, how the shoe prints, the left and right shoe prints, and the indistinct ones could have been deposited at the crime scene. Do you recall that series of questions
With regard to
by Mr. Bailey?
by M and N and O,
Yeah.
yes.
And, sir, is there anything that you observed in your analysis, in addition to what you've already told us, in terms of the wear characteristics of the shoes, which would be helpful to us in resolving the scenario that you were given in which two individuals purchased two size 12 Bruno Magli shoes in 1991 or 92 and then saved them for a special occasion where they wanted to dress up in their nice Italian loafers for the purposes of committing a murder? Is there anything that you can tell us about the wear characteristics that would help us resolve that hypothetical?
Only in general terms that none of the impressions showed any great degree of wear. As I've mentioned before, they were either unworn or of very little wear. And so, again, to the hypothetical, which I don't agree with, that two people did this, that would also mean that they didn't wear their shoes very much until they committed this crime, which is not what I agree with.
Okay. I just have one moment. I just want to look at the rest of my notes. Now, sir, in terms of the hypotheticals that you were given, is there anything that would rule out the possibility that a suspect went down the walkway and then at some point realized that he had left a hat and also a glove behind and came back for the purposes of trying to find them, could not do so or became alarmed and then fled the crime scene?
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Is there anything that would tell you that that did not happen, or did happen?
Based on the footprints?
Yes.
Well, as I've stated before, I believe the same person left both sets of footprints, which means that they had to have turned back and come back to that scene. So that certainly is one of many possibilities.
Now, you were asked whether there were any footprints that were facing in the other direction, meaning in an easterly direction on this diagram. In the area of the stairs, was there such a footprint?
It was a very light footprint coming down the stairs on the same step as impression number B. That was the enlarged photograph, which I had said did not have a scale or and was taken at a slight angle, and to which I had two overlays taped to, one going in one direction and one in the other. One of those was coming back down the step, and it was just a very fragment of the edge of the shoe, so because it was coming down the step, it's possible that, again, with that weight being emphasized on that foot, there might be a little bit of blood squeezed out that wasn't coming out before, and you could have had that light impression. So that's possible that that was a representation of the return of the person after the first walking down the sidewalk.
Can you show us where that is on the Bundy chart?
Yes. The blue or purple right footwear impression, which is the center impression on the step, which is marked B, is very, very light and coming back down in an easterly direction toward the original crime scene.
Okay. Thank you. And sir, in your experience with the Federal Bureau of Investigation analyzing footprint cases, have you ever heard of a case where two suspects bought two shoes of the same size with the same lack of wear characteristics on them, and then walked at a crime scene in such a way so as to replicate only one person having been at the crime scene?
No, I haven't.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Mr. Bailey?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Boziak, thank you very much, sir. You are excused. People may call their next witness.
You can call Mr. Posner, please, Sam.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Goldberg, do you want to collect the Reeboks here?
Please, for the love of God, say that it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Zach. Happy birthday. I'm just waiting for it to kick over to the next video. Another one in the bank, guys. Another one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, something has come up that I need to take a recess at this time, so we're going to break 15 minutes
Ruh-roh.
early today. Please remember all my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case, conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you, or allow anybody to communicate with you. And as far as the jury is concerned, we'll stand in recess till tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. All right, and let me see counsel with the court report, please. All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter. Mr. Simpson is again present before the court with his counsel, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Blazier, people represented by Mr. Goldberg and Mr. Darden. Good morning, counsel.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, what does our schedule look like? That's the thing we need to resolve.
Your Honor, yesterday we were told that we were going to get Dr. Weir's report yesterday
night.
afternoon or earlier, I think was the way it was phrased. We have still not gotten the report. The draft that was provided to us a week or 2 weeks
My
ago
birthday's the
did not
day after
contain
my
any numbers,
mom's,
and,
Zach,
obviously
so I know how you
report.
feel.
Mr. Neufeld talked to Dr. Weir this morning, who told Dr. Weir told Mr. Neufeld that the report was going to be faxed to us today, that the first section of it is 42 pages, and that there's going to be an addendum, and I'm not sure when we get the addendum. We agreed to the Thursday-Friday schedule, understanding that it was very tight for us to have this given to our experts and have them time to review it. We still want to try and maintain that, but we have to see this 42-page report, and we have to see what this addendum is. So what I would suggest is that I'll be able to advise you later on today whether we think we can still reasonably go forward on Thursday, but that's a real problem for us right now.
All right, Mr. Harmon, good morning. Then I would just ask that you do everything you can to expedite the transfer of the report to the defense.
I think Mr. Clark's talked to Mr. Neufeld since that conversation, but it's not a lot different than Mr. Glazer just told you, Your Honor.
All right, please let me know, because if we're going to be down with the jury for one day, I need to make
You know what else,
arrangements
Zach?
to have other activities for them. And
My mom's birthday's on Christmas.
So I need to know as soon as possible.
I'll let you know as soon as I get word, I'll let you know.
All right. And for today's agenda, council, we're going to have Mr. Posner, I believe it is, and then Mr. Sims again.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that pretty much? And we're going to conclude today at 3 p.m. because of a commitment that the court has granted that one of the jurors has. All right,
That's
Your Honor. Good
crazy.
morning. I'd like to address the Poser testimony, if the court pleases.
yes, sir.
And in this regard, Mr. Goldberg was very cooperative to make sure before we left last night, we had
No, I
the
didn't.
whole
My
picture,
mom's
we had all the
birthday is
reports regarding Mr.
Christmas.
Mr. Sam
She
Poser.
knows.
Regarding Mr. Sam Poser. And I would ask the court, this has been the nature of like a 402 hearing regarding Mr. Poser's testimony. If he's present, I'd ask for him to step out for a minute, if the court pleases.
All right, Mr. Posner, why don't you step outside in the hallway, please?
There's a controversy over the shoes? Is that the shoe guy? No, the shoe guy didn't have glasses.
Mr. Cochran.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. As I indicated, that this would be in the nature of a 402 hearing regarding this gentleman's testimony. First of all, the court may want to hear and offer a proof from the people, but it's my understanding from reviewing all the reports, from looking at all the receipts, there is no receipt linking Mr. Simpson as having purchased the shoes that FBI agent Boziak talked about yesterday. This man can only tell us that he waited on Mr. Simpson in very vague terms. In fact, there's one receipt for $38 for some slippers. He has no information. There's no linking up of this. And the fact is that the prejudicial effect of his testimony of bringing somebody else in from Bloomingdale's to talk about Mr. Simpson having shopped at some point but never having purchased these shoes is far outweighed by any probative value. So I think as officers of the court, we have an obligation to bring this to Your Honor's attention as soon as possible. I appreciate that since we weren't totally aware he was going to be called last evening, the court gave us this time overnight to deal with it. So I'm prepared to argue it, that perhaps the court would want to hear from the people, or I can tell you what the summary is regarding their offer of proof. But I don't think that this offer of proof will be sufficient for his testimony. And so when we get into talking about a 352 problem, I think this is it.
All right. Mr. Goldberg.
I'm not sure what the basis for counsel's objection is. He said that this was prejudicial. I can certainly see the prejudicial effect of evidence that a person shops at Bloomingdale's. I'm sure the jury would be far more likely to convict a defendant as soon as they learn that
Zach,
he's previously shopped
my
at
ex
Bloomingdale's.
is jerk face. Jerk face.
But there is no prejudice whatsoever. His testimony is very simply that the defendant shopped there. He purchased shoes there on about 5 occasions. He's a size 12. He does not have a specific recollection of every instance where he sold him shoes. They would not necessarily have records of instances where there were cash transactions or gift certificate transactions, and that they did sell the Lorenzo shoe. And that would be the sum and substance of his testimony. It would take approximately 15 minutes to put on. There's zero prejudice, and it is probative. So I just don't understand the nature of Mr. Cochran's objection. I know that they're very, very concerned and worried about this evidence. They must have asked me about a half a dozen times yesterday about the scope of this man's testimony, and I told them what it was. My representations to them yesterday and on previous days are the same, consistent with what I've told you. I understand the concern that they have, but this is relevant testimony. It clearly is not prejudicial.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Certainly.
We're not worried. We're the same people who sat here for 8 days while Brian Kellberg put the corner on for 8 days, and we had to sit here, and it led to nothing, just like the evidence of Boziak and just like this man. You know, they're whistling in the wind. These are the dying grasp of the prosecution. This is not relevant testimony. To put on this man to say that at some time in 1990 or 1991, he saw Mr. Simpson in Bloomingdale's, they can never link it up to those shoes. Those are the facts. And so what I was saying, it wastes all the court's time. It doesn't lead anywhere, and it's analogous to the testimony that we listed from Dr. Lakshmana, that Dr. Golan made all these mistakes, but he still couldn't tell us the various things. And you saw the contrast. They spent 8 days on direct. Mr. Shapiro spent, a half day in cross-examination. And so we're just saying to the court wants to move this case along. This is a good example of that. And the reason why we kept asking counsel, Mr. Goldberg, and I complimented him at the beginning, we asked him, because we couldn't believe he wanted to put this man on, given what he has to say. And so that I think now the court understands it. And we have a summary of his testimony. And listen to this, Your Honor, that during the time Mr. Poser was the manager of the shoe department, he met O.J. Simpson several times. Mr. Poser was asked to read the sales receipt. Mr. Poser stated just by looking at the sales receipt, he was unable to tell what was purchased. Mr. Poser did not recall having any slippers priced at $38. And he goes on, there's no linkage, Your Honor. So they could bring anybody in here, and that doesn't add anything. And so counsel says, well, if the jury hears he shopped at Bloomingdale's, they're likely to convict him. He hasn't been down on this trial every day, obviously, if he thinks that. I mean, that has nothing to do with this case. The evidence,
Well, I took that to be a facetious comment.
well, I had to respond to it because I can't be sure, Your Honor, with everything they say. But
That was not particularly helpful.
I didn't think so either. But the point is, Your Honor, and I think you now have the picture. I asked for the offer of proof. You now have it. How does this link up with O.J. Simpson? If they'd ask us, we would stipulate that he has on occasion bought a size 11, size 12, size 13. I mean, there's in that range. He's bought shoes in that range. They went all through yesterday to do that. I mean, that doesn't add anything. How many men in America do you think wear size 10 and a half, 11s, 12s, 12 and a half, 13s? And that's not instructive.
Apparently 10% of the population.
Well,
No,
I think
all
that
of them,
is
if you
12s.
ask them,
So if
all
you
of
add
them.
those other sizes, I think it's even larger. So that's the point, Your Honor. So I'm saying that this is a point where the court has been very, very lenient with the prosecution and allowing them to advance these various theories that don't lead anywhere. And so we're just saying this is an appropriate time to say that this man shouldn't be called because it doesn't add anything to where we are.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. I take this to be a 352 objection rather than actually a request for a 402 because it appears that there's nothing that I can see that would bar his testimony if it's relevant. The fact that he's going to testify that he is the manager or was the manager of the shoe department at Bloomingdale's gives him certain amount of credibility as far as his expertise as to what the practices are at Bloomingdale's. The fact that he has personal acquaintanceship and knowledge of the defendant's shoe purchasing and that he has purchased a size 12 does have probative value. The fact that Bloomingdale's was one of the 40 stores here in the United States that sold this particular shoe, the Lorenzo, is of probative value. And I accept Mr. Goldberg's self-imposed time limit of 15 minutes in getting to this.
15 minutes, my ass. No way, it's not going to happen. So, speaking 1.75, I was working yesterday with a new girl that I trained, even though I just started. And I'm trying to communicate with her. She's from Arizona. And she's telling me at the end of the day that, I have a thick accent. What? I don't have an accent at all, actually. And she said, and from Arizona and Colorado, she says they're similar in how they speak. Coming here, we all speak so fast that it's really hard for her to understand what I'm saying. So when I speak to her, I have to stop myself. I have to look at her and I have to slow down. Or she can't. She doesn't understand a word I'm saying at all. But it's very difficult for me because when you're a server, everything has to be like, you can't stop and slow down. That's almost impossible to do, to stop and slow down, because when you're in server, everybody needs everything immediately. Seconds count for your tip. So I didn't find this out, until while we were cleaning. We cleaned the whole dining room at the end of the shows, and I'm trying to tell her, because she's new, I'm trying to tell her what we do next, what needs to be done, and she's like, your accent is so thick. And I'm like, what do you mean, my accent? That's crazy, I don't have an accent. And she says I talk way too fast. So, I don't know, I was in Colorado once when I was a little girl, but I didn't think about, I don't think of Colorado and Arizona as accents. Like, oh, this accent is from Arizona. I don't think they talk slower either. I think down south. But Colorado and Arizona, I don't know. I don't know.
Did he say size 12?
Yes.
Yes,
May I just say here?
certainly.
Guys, it's a manager of a shoe store. Let it go. Let's go. 15 minutes. Let's go.
All right, Mr. Cochran, ready to proceed?
Yes, we are ready. Thank you, Your Honor. Might I just address one last?
They're all very upset over there.
Cochran said, just for the record, I'm flying this afternoon to Kansas City for a hearing on the subpoena that you approved for Marcus Allen, and I'll be back tomorrow night. And I just want to make sure there are no hair and trace witnesses contemplated today or tomorrow.
Mr. Darden?
You say that there won't be some here in trace.
Today and
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Today and tomorrow.
Well, there's the problem with Bruce Weir, so I don't know if the schedule is going to somehow get jumbled. I don't expect it will be.
All right, well,
But,
if,
you know,
Mr. Bailey, you're going to be handling the hair and trace for the defense, all right, if he does have business connected to this case in another jurisdiction, so if he's not available, we'll just have to bounce around with some other witnesses.
No.
All right, maybe we'll do some DV. All right.
Thank you.
Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please. All right, and Mr. Goldberg, why don't you retrieve Mr. Posner?
And two other housekeeping issues. Mr. Harmon has said that he would like some time to set up prior to recalling Mr. Sims to the stand and take a brief recess.
Oh, I assume we'll have to recycle to a different set of exhibits.
Yeah, and I've discussed two stipulations with Mr. Bailey, one relating to the Reebok shoes being the ones that were the subject of Detective Lang's testimony, and one relating to the crime scene photographs that were referred to by Mr. Bodziak yesterday of shoe prints having been taken on the 13th of June, which he's agreed to. So I'd like to offer those at the close of Mr.
All right.
Posner's testimony.
Thank you.
I didn't rankles about that, having offered that stipulation or actually received it. I attempted to ask the detective if he knew that those shoes came from Mr. Simpson voluntarily on the 13th, and you sustained an objection.
Well, nobody told me there was going to be a stipulation, counsel. Now that I know.
I put something forward.
Well, I think actually that testimony is kind of hearsay.
Guys, come on. Let's
Deputy
go.
McNair? Thank you.
As to who we will have tomorrow?
May I be excused again, Mr.
Yes,
Goldberg?
please. I assume that a lot depends on what we're going to do with the other hearing.
Okay, well, I'm concerned.
No, I'm just as interested as you are as to what's coming next.
What other hearing?
I've been told that Agent Martz is not going to be until next week. I just want to make sure that that hasn't changed.
All right.
That hasn't changed.
Okay.
All right.
You know what? We don't see this seal enough. We just don't see the seal of California enough in this trial.
Let the record reflect, we've now been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And Mr. Goldberg, you may call the people's next witness.
Thank you. If you could call Sam Poser to the stand.
All right, Mr. Poser, come forward, please. Mrs. Robertson.
Sir, can you please raise your right hand? You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in your mouth shall be before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat at the witness stand and state your first and last names for the record.
My name is Samuel Mark Poser,
Yes,
S-A-M-U-E-L,
Would you pull the microphone closer, please?
S-A-M-U-E-L, M-A-R-C, P-O-S-E-R.
Thank you. Good morning.
Say,
Good morning, Mr. Poser.
Morning.
What is your occupation, sir?
I'm the associate buyer for men's shoes at Bloomingdale's.
And is that Bloomingdale's in New York?
Yes.
And how long have you been with Bloomingdale's?
Almost 5 years.
When did you start?
August of 1990.
And shortly after you started, let's say around the winter season in 1990, did you see a Mr. Orenthal Simpson come into the store in the New York Bloomingdale's?
Yes.
When you first saw him, did you recognize him
Yes, I did.
as being Mr. Simpson?
Yes, I did.
And do you see him in court today?
Yes, I did.
Can you point him out for us and tell us what he's wearing today?
He's wearing a gray suit and a brown and black tie and a white shirt.
Thank you. Now, sir, when you first saw Mr. Simpson, were you working in the shoe department?
Yes, I was.
And on that particular occasion and thereafter, did you sell shoes to the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And approximately how many occasions in total would you say you sold shoes to him?
4 or 5 times.
Now, of the 4 or 5 times that you sold shoes, are there any occasions that you remember in terms of specifically what you sold?
Only, not particularly to the shoe level, to the individual item.
Okay. Is there any instance where you have some recollection of what you sold?
Yes, there is.
And can you tell us what that instance was?
Yes, he was in the...
Mr. Poser, could you pull the microphone closer to you?
Certainly. At one time, he came in, he was about to do a broadcast for a Bills game in Buffalo, and he needed a boot to wear for the Bills game, and I remember selling it, assisting in the sale, selling it to him.
Okay. And other than that, do you have any other specific recollections in terms of the types of shoes?
He liked to buy dress casual shoes, not shoes to wear with suits and so on.
Now, even though well, did you recognize that he had some type of celebrity status when you first started selling to him?
Yes, I did.
Even though he had some type of celebrity status, did you, considering that he had that status, did you somehow memorize the occasions when you sold him shoes and what you sold him?
No.
All right. Now, during the time period that you had sold shoes to Mr. Simpson, was Bloomingdale's one of the 40 stores that sold Bruno Magli Lorenzo shoes?
Yes, we did.
And I'd like to show you what we've marked as People's 375 for identification. And maybe you could take the shoes out of there and tell us if one of those is Lorenzo.
This is Lorenzo, the boot.
He's indicating what has previously been referred to as the size 12 semi or demi boot, Your Honor.
Yes.
And what colors did Bloomingdale's carry those in?
Black, brown, and olive.
Do you remember whether or not you sold those shoes to the defendant?
No, I do not.
You don't have a specific recollection
Hi,
one way or the other?
No.
Now, what price range did those shoes sell in?
I remember them to be under $200.
Okay. And how would you classify that? Is it an athletic shoe, a dress casual shoe? What type of a shoe?
It's a dress casual boot.
Okay. And if a person at Bloomingdale's purchases items at the store with cash, is a record made of what they purchased?
A record of the purchase is made, but not particular to the person who purchased it.
Okay, so there would be no record of a particular individual purchasing a particular item?
Correct.
Now, if a person, well, does Bloomingdale's also have gift certificates?
Yes, we do.
And did they back in the time frame that you were waiting on Mr. Simpson?
Yes, we did.
And if a person makes a gift certificate purchase, is there a record of specifically what they purchased?
No.
And what item they purchased?
No.
Okay. When you sold shoes to the defendant, did you ring up the sales?
No, I did not.
And when was the last time, if you can give us an estimate, that you would have sold shoes to the defendant?
I believe it was early '92. That's in the wintertime of '92, I believe.
And over this period of time, you say that the shoes were generally dress casual shoes?
Yes,
What size did the defendant take?
size 12.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Poser, how many times have you been questioned about the same subject matter prior to today?
About 5, I guess,
5 times. By whom?
by some detectives
From the LAPD?
from the LAPD, somebody from the FBI, and from the defense.
Oh. And has the subject matter always been the Lorenzo Bruno Magli shoes?
No.
No? Has any other kind of shoes been sought, if you know?
Not at the beginning, not specifically.
Okay. What kind of records does Bloomingdale's keep when customers who charge on credit cards purchase goods?
We have a journal on the register that shows who sold what to whom, to what credit card, as well as the receipt, a copy of the receipt that the customer signs.
Do you have a salesman's code so that a salesman will get credit?
Yes.
And if you sold shoes to Mr. Simpson, would you assign the code to a salesman rather than yourself?
Normally, I was working in conjunction with a salesperson, so that salesperson I was working with would get credit for the sale.
Their code would be on the slip, not yours.
Yes, correct.
What other information is recorded?
The date, the amount of each shoe, any discount that may have been taken.
I'm sorry.
The amount of the cost, the retail cost of each shoe, any discount that may have been taken, the tax, the total purchase, what the total purchase is, and the signature of the person in a charged transaction.
Is there a code on the slip that will describe the item purchased?
Yes, there are two types of codes. There's a UPC code, which is a
UPC?
Universal Products Code,
Yes.
which was used at that time sometimes, and there was a department, class, vendor, and mark style code that described what the merchandise was as well.
Now, did you, in cooperation with the detectives, search the records of Bloomingdale's looking for any evidence of a sale such as you've been asked about?
Personally, I did no searching.
Have you seen any records that were retrieved as
Yes.
a result of that?
Yes.
Have you examined them?
Yes.
And have you found various purchases of shoes?
Yes.
None of which were Lorenzo Bruno Mali's, right?
Honestly, I didn't know the numbers off the top of my head,
I know.
so I can't say to the specifics of that.
Have you ever been questioned about a sales slip that showed the code for this particular shoe, or seen one?
No, not that I know of.
Or will.
Over what period of time was this search made, do you know?
I was called about 6 months ago. I got my first call about that. So from there to present, regarding this case.
On one occasion, were you questioned about the sale of the boots to Mr. Simpson in connection with his duties in Buffalo?
I guess when I was first asked, I mentioned that was the one thing that I remembered specifically.
Right, that he had some job in Buffalo and he was purchasing some boots because he'd be working outdoors, right?
Correct.
Have you ever been to Buffalo?
No, but
In
I know it's
wintertime?
cold. Excuse me?
You-
No. No, I have not.
But did you understand that the climatic conditions were expected to be adverse when he bought them?
Yes, I did.
All right. Were you shown a Lorenzo Bruno Mali black in color by Detective Pietrantonio of the LAPD?
Yes, I was.
And did he ask you whether or not that was similar in type to what you had sold Mr. Simpson?
Did he ask me that?
Yes.
And did he show you the videos of how it was made in Italy, like they forced us to watch? Did he do that to you, sir? No, because it's a crime.
Yes, he did.
And
Sorry.
did you not tell him that it was not?
Sustain the first question. Without the statement, you can ask him whether or not he sold that boot.
Right. Did he ask you whether or not the boot that you had told him about was similar to the shoe he was showing you?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And did you tell him, no, it was not?
I said I did not. I told him that I did not recall selling the Lorenzo boot to Mr. Simpson. I also said that for the use in Buffalo, I probably would not have sold Mr. Simpson the Lorenzo boot for the climatic conditions that were there.
Exactly. It would not do well in slush, snow, and mud, would it?
Correct.
Now, you mentioned the size of Mr. Simpson's shoe. Do you know if he always bought the same size or whether it varied from manufacturer to manufacturer?
As far as I know, he bought the same size. I remembered it to be a 12.
And on how many different occasions did you fit him with new shoes?
About 4 or 5 as he came in.
Okay. Wait a minute, please.
You may.
Mr. Mills, would you examine these tennis shoes, please, and assume that they are shoes belonging to Mr. O.J. Simpson?
People's Exhibit, which
384, it looks like from the
Right.
tag.
these are the Reeboks.
These are Reebok shoes.
Right.
Can you tell me what size those shoes are?
They're size 12 U.S.
12 and a half, perhaps.
No, it's a size 12 USA.
And European size?
European size 46 and a half.
Do you see anything about the width?
Not, no.
Goldberg?
Sir, you were asked whether you were shown some documents from Bloomingdale's constituting records of shoe purchases.
Yes.
Do you recall that? How many were you shown, if you recall?
I believe
Do you guys remember in the preliminary hearing, we had testimony of OJ's prior assaulting of Nicole and of OJ's weird behavior the day of, before the murder, that night and that day at the recital. I'm starting to think, after months and months and months and months and months of listening to this testimony, that they are not going to get into that during the actual trial. Isn't that crazy? I don't understand why they wouldn't bring up how the police were called to her house a couple times before. He's going to kill me this time, she said. How unbelievably weird and scary he acted hours before the murder. I'm really starting to believe truly that the prosecution is not going to put that into evidence at all. Instead, they're going to go over 3 hours with a guy who sold OJ shoes a couple times in his lifetime.
I believe 3.
And was one of them for women's shoes?
One of them, I didn't recognize the numbers on.
If I approached and showed you 3 documents, might that refresh your recollection?
Yes, it would.
I suppose you're going to have to keep your voice out.
Oh, yes, it would. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Would you pull the microphone a little closer to you and speak directly into it?
Sure.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
Proceed.
Sorry, Ron.
Sure.
The numbers are 1540, 1509, and 1529 from Discovery.
No, Bobby, they said this one was going to be quick. They said that this expert, 15 minutes tops. That was, 4 hours ago? I don't know.
Sir, can you take a look at these and see whether these are the receipts that you saw?
Yes, these are.
And was one of those for women's shoes?
One of them is not for men's shoes. I assume this
Okay.
is the one.
So if you sold shoes to the defendant on 4 or 5 occasions, would that seem to indicate that, at least insofar as the records you've seen, we do not have a record for each of those occasions?
Correct.
Now, if you had sold the defendant, if the defendant had wanted to purchase Bruno Magli shoes from you, the Lorenzo style, would have you sold him size 12 shoes?
Yes.
And he took size 12 in every shoe that you sold?
As I recall, yes.
Okay. And was it your business to know someone's shoe size when you were selling them shoes?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Mr. Bailey? All right, Mr. Poser, thank you very much, sir. You are excused.
Thank you.
Your Honor, this time I wanted to talk 2 stipulations, if I might.
Yes.
Counsel, will you stipulate that the Reebok tennis shoes that have been marked as People's 384 for identification are the same shoes that were the subject of Detective Lang's testimony that were received on June the 13th of last year?
All right.
Okay. And will you further stipulate that as to the photographs that have been marked as People's 388 through 395, depicting shoe prints that were discussed by Mr. Bodziak yesterday, that those photographs were taken at the Bundy location also on the 13th of June?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we instructed you earlier, a stipulation is an agreement between the attorneys as to the facts of the case, and you would assume the agreed-upon facts to be true for the purpose of this case. All right, people's next witness. Is this Mr. Sims again?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to need to recycle some of the exhibits. I'm going to ask you to step back into the jury room. This take us about 5 or 10 minutes to reset up. All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter. All parties are again present. Mr. Harmon, have we gotten set up?
Yes, Your Honor, and I just want to explain the order I'll do things. We're going to go through some new Bronco results, some new soccer results, and some new Bundy results. Then we'll take all the boards down. I have 8 autorads. I'm going to show 3 of them on the Elmo and capture 3 of those. And then when we're done with that, I'll have all of them marked. Then we've got the big light box back in the hallway.
Monster.
The monster. So I want to put all 8 of them up there and then afford the jury an opportunity to review them, and then we'll be done.
All right, let me ask Mr. Fairlow if you could to just pull this, the Bronco easel back because it blocked.
We, in fact, will never be done. Damn juror 7 again.
Not be seen by juror number 7. So once you
Sanctions.
take it down, let's bring the jurors in, then you put it back on.
Sanctions.
To be frank, I don't understand why we need the monster. I'm more than willing to stipulate that the band's a line. He can show them on the Elmo. I don't think that there's any reason to go through that
Sir,
again, particularly since these
stop.
results on
I am sick and tired of them. They are not allowed to tell the prosecution how to put on their case. They are not allowed to have an opinion. There is no legal reason that he has that would tell the prosecution they do not need the monster. They are not allowed to do that. If there was a legal reason, that's fine. He has no legal reason for this.
material that we've already been over. So I think that there reaches a point where there's more prejudice here than probative value in terms of the number of times that you can show the same material again and again to the jury in an effort to make it seem like it's more than it is.
Mr. Harmon.
It may be cumulative in terms of the overwhelming amount of DNA evidence that we've presented. The only accumulation that we've seen is that we had PCR results from 3 of these 4 stains. Now we have an additional PCR result on one of the stains there was no testing on, and now we have an 8-probe match showing Mr. Simpson's blood on the back gate and Mr. Simpson's blood on sock number A. The jury has not seen this before.
That's not my point. My point is simply that it should be enough to show the autorad on the Elmo of material that we've already seen autorads on. I'm not objecting that they can put in more data on the same stains. All I'm saying, it seems to me plainly cumulative to show the same exhibit again and again and have this whole parade of people looking at the autorad again.
I'm gonna lose
Seems
my
to me they
mind.
can show it on the Elmo and put it in evidence.
All right, let's see how it develops.
I'd just like to point out, I'm only going to show 3 on the Elmo. I could show all 8, and then we'd take a lot longer than I think putting the big light box up. So
All right, well, we'll probably spend more time arguing about it than looking at it.
we already have, I think.
I think so, too. All right, Mr. Harmon, you assure me you can present all of this in 1 hour, correct?
Yes.
All right, you got an hour.
Lies.
All right, Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please.
Sanctions. Sanctions.
And Mr. Harmon is now representing the people as to this phase. Mr. Harmon, you may call or recall your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. People call Mr. Sims, Gary Sims.
My recollection is that Mr. Sims was excused subject to recall. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Your
All right, Mr. Sims, would you resume the witness stand?
If they're going to be using that, may I walk over?
Yes, you may. All right, good morning, Mr. Sims.
We got our
Mr.
puppy
Sims, you
dog
are
back.
reminded that you are still under oath.
Hi, Mr. Sims.
And Mr.
Welcome
Harmon,
back.
you may commence with your
Thank you, Your Honor.
reopen direct examination as to this witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sims, we have a few additional results that were not available the last time you testified.
Yes.
Okay, and just to categorize those results, there are 2 results from the Bronco,
Yes.
and 1 result from one of the Sox,
Yes.
and 1 result from the rear gate at Bundy, 117.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just go in numerical order,
Was
starting
my
with the
mic on
Bronco.
while I was
Did your
singing?
laboratory perform PCR testing on LAPD item number 25, which was removed from the driver's side carpet of the Bronco?
Yes, a D1S80 PCR result was performed by Renee Montgomery.
Okay, and what result was obtained from stain number 25 on the driver's side carpet of the Bronco?
The D1S80 type was 24,25.
And is that type consistent with Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Is it inconsistent with Nicole Brown?
Yes.
Is it inconsistent with Ronald Goldman?
Yes.
Was testing also performed on LAPD item number 26 from the driver's side floor mat?
Yes.
And what sort of test was performed on that sample?
Again, that was a D1S80 test.
And what was the result?
The type was 24,25.
Is that consistent with Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Is that inconsistent with Mr. Goldman?
Yes.
And inconsistent with Nicole Brown?
Yes.
Could you step up to the board here, the Bronco exhibit, or result board rather, number 260, and let's start with number 25. I made some patches here. Did you assign a DOJ DNA number to LAPD item number 25?
Yes, that was assigned DNA number 39.
Okay. May the record reflect, Your Honor, I'm going to put a patch in that blank column.
Zach, thank you
reflecting
so much.
DOJ.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry, Bobby.
And there had previously been testimony from Colin Yamaguchi that he performed DQ alpha testing and produced the result 1.1, 1.2. Okay.
That's my understanding.
Is that type consistent with Mr. Simpson's type as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And may the record reflect, I have another patch that reflects both the DQ alpha and D1S80 results.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. And what I'd like you to do, Mr. Simpson,
Merry Christmas and happy birthday.
I would like you, in the lower portion of the frequency column, would you please write in the D1S80 only frequency for stain number 25, or your number 39?
The lower portion of the
Yes, just the lower. Could you put D1S80 and then what the frequency range would be for the type 2425?
Yes.
So the range is from 1 in 29. What group would the 1 in 29 reflect the frequency of?
That's the Caucasian data.
And then what's the 1 in 48 reflect?
That's the African American data.
And is there another group in between there somewhere in the frequency range?
Yes, between those would be the Hispanic data.
Okay, what's the frequency in the Hispanic
1 in
population?
36.
Okay, and Your Honor, we've attached a patch. Could we move that down, Mr. Fairtlow, that reflects LAPD 26? May the record reflect, we've just taped it on to the top of People's Exhibit number 260. Okay,
Yes.
Mr. Sims, and that's your DOJ DNA number 40, LAPD item 26 from the floor mat driver's side?
Yes.
And the patch reflects the D1S80 type 2425?
Yes.
Could you write in the frequency for the D1S80 type for the result that you've obtained, which is consistent with Mr. Simpson?
Okay.
Okay, and it's the same 1 in 29 to 1 in 48,
Yes.
and reflecting the same groups that are reflected in the frequencies for item 25?
Yes.
Okay, could we move on to the SOC photo board and SOC result board? The SOC result board is Exhibit 262, and the SOC photo board is 262A.
Oh, those AI videos are terrible. I can't stand watching them. I try, but I can't.
Have you performed on SOC 42, or SOC A, which you've designated for stain 42A3? What kind of test have you performed since you were here last?
The tests that were completed, and actually these were begun in February, but the RFLP process takes several weeks because of the low amount of DNA on this particular sample that was applied to our gel. And we tested it for the restriction fragment length, polymorphism, results as distinguished from the PCR tests that we talked about, such as the PCR tests again on the DQ alpha and D1SAD. These are the RFLP tests now that we perform.
Okay, and when you began those tests, did you already know what the PCR results were on the various stains on those socks?
Yes, I did.
Did you also know how much DNA was in those stains?
Yes, I did.
And which stain did you subject to the RFLP process?
That was stain A3.
Okay, could you point out that where that stain was located on Exhibit 262A?
A3 is near the top, towards the top portion of the sock designated A. Notice that it's on the same side as the cutout that we did the previous RFLP on, which was A1 stain. So now this is the A3 stain up near the top.
So, and A1 is the stain that you produced RFLP results which show the consistency with Nicole Brown?
Yes.
Okay. How many different or strike that, what samples did you have during this RFLP run? What other samples did you use during the same run?
Yes. Because I already knew what the PCR tests were, I ran 3 particular samples on that particular RFLP gel. One was the SOC 42A3 stain. The other was Mr. Simpson's reference sample for side-by-side comparison. And then finally, I ran LAPD number 117, which is our DNA number 49, which was collected from the rear gate at the Bundy crime scene.
Why didn't you include Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in those RFLP tests?
Because they had already been eliminated by the PCR results.
Okay. How many different probes were you able to submit 42A3 to when you conducted the RFLP tests?
I have data on 8 probes.
Okay. Would you strike that? Did those probes match Mr. Simpson's known reference type?
Yes, they did.
All 8 of them?
Yes, they did.
And we'll show them to the jury in a little bit. But would you please describe the frequency estimate for the match from among the RFLP probes that you tested 42A3 against?
Yes. The actual loci that I tested, there were 8 loci. Of these, I used population data from 6 of the loci, specifically D1S7, D2S44, D4S139, D5S110, D10S28, and D17S79. And the results were as follows. The profile detected in this stain occurs in approximately 1 in 57 billion African Americans, 1 in 150 billion Caucasians, and 1 in 100 billion Hispanics, indicating that among randomly chosen individuals, this RFLP profile is a rare event. And again, this is for unrelated individuals.
And this is an estimate that's derived from only 6 of the 8 probes?
Yes.
And why don't you have additional information on the other 2 probes?
For the complete set of data that we routinely use in our laboratory, we don't have population data for the additional probes.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect I'm going to put a patch in the RFLP column showing
Yes.
eight probes. Now, Mr. Sims, you have previously testified about a frequency estimate derived from the DQ alpha and D1S80 data. Is that still a valid estimate, at least as far as those tests are concerned?
Yes.
What I'd like to do is put a blank magnetic cover over the PCR frequency data for 42A3. And if you will, Mr. Sims, as you have in the other stains, would you please describe the more common to the least common and write them in on Exhibit 262?
Okay. For the RFLP data, the range was from 1 in 57 billion to 1 in 150 billion.
Okay. Let's move on to the Bundy rear gate stain. That was run in the same set of RFLP tests that 42A3 was done. Is that correct?
That's correct. It was on the same gel.
Did you obtain a similar number of RFLP matches as you did with 117 as you did with 42A3?
Yes.
8 probes?
Yes.
Your Honor, may the record reflect I've got an 8-probe patch that I'm going to place in the RFLP column on Exhibit 259
Yes, thank
for
you.
117. I've got a similar magnetic blank patch that I'm going to place over the PCR data. And you previously provided DQ alpha and D1S80 frequency information for the PCR testing that you did on 117, is that correct?
Yes.
And that data is still valid as it relates to the test that the PCR test that you performed, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what frequency estimate did you produce for the 8-probe match on 117 to Mr. Simpson's known reference sample?
These results are the same as what we obtained from the SOC, namely 1 in 57 billion African Americans, 1 in 150 billion Caucasians, and 1 in 100 billion Hispanics, again using the 6 loci.
Okay, could you write the frequency estimate in on that blank magnetic patch that's on Exhibit 259?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Sims, Mr. Farrell, could I get the boards down? I'd like to have marked as Peoples 400 for identification, a set of 8 autorads, and I'll describe I've got them in a certain order here. They're labeled A30. May that be 400A, A31B, A32C, A36D, A29E, A33F, A34G, and A35H. At this point, I'd like to put on the Elmo Autorad A30, which we've just had marked as 400A for identification. Mr. Sims, I'm going to ask you to come down here and use our point maker. Just generally speaking, though, before I ask you to show the jury how you have these things aligned, when did you actually begin the RFLP process on this set of stains that included SOC A3 and 117 and Mr. Simpson's reference sample?
That was in February.
And when did you actually have tests continued even beyond when you left Berkeley?
Yes, we at this point have the 8 probes. We have one additional that has not been sized, but it came off just recently over the weekend, and there's another one ongoing now.
Okay, and about how much DNA did you use, for example, with SOC stain A3 or your 42A3?
It was approximately 100 nanograms.
And then how about with respect to 117, the rear gate stain, about how much DNA did you use?
As I recall, that was a little less. It was about 88 nanograms was the estimate.
Why don't we give you the point maker here? If you would, just help us get oriented on from left to right, just so the jury can appreciate what they're looking at.
Okay. Do I need to? Yeah. I'll go through this briefly because I remember we went through this last time. These are the ladders, what we call the ladders, or the molecular size standards, where you see several bands in particular lanes. So that would be here in lane 1, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Then as far as the sample lanes, we have in lane 2, this is that K562 sample. This is the national standard that's run on as a control on every one of our RFLP autorads. This third lane has our quality control sample. Again, this is the one that's unknown to me at the time of the analysis, and I go ahead and do my sizing and submit the data to see whether or not I got the correct answer on that particular sample. Then skipping over here to lane 5, this is the lane in which we have the SOC stain designated A3, then another ladder. Then we skip over here to Mr. Simpson, the defendant's reference sample, his known blood sample in this lane. Another ladder, and then in this next to the last lane, we have the blood stain number 117 from the rear gate. And then we finally finish it off with another ladder sample.
Okay, why don't we just mark the 3 samples, Mr. Simpson's sample, the SOC sample, and the rear gate sample, and this is the only one we'll do it on, just so we can capture exactly what you've described. Could you use some color?
Would you like me to mark the bands? Or
Yeah, the bands.
Okay.
Okay, you're marking the SOC with some pink.
Yes, the SOC is marked with pink. The defendant's reference sample bands I will mark with the green.
Okay, and then what color for 117?
I'll use blue for that.
Okay, Okay, can we capture that? May that be 400A1, Your Honor?
481.
Okay, and why don't we, can we place 400B on the Elmo, Your Honor?
Clear the air escape.
And Mr. Sims, I'm just going to ask you to point out where the bands, do you want me to hold that for you? Sure. Just show the jury where the bands are that match among the three samples. Mr. Simpson's sample, the rear gate, 117, and socket 3. I'm not going to ask you to mark them and capture them.
Just to point them
Just
out?
to point them out.
Okay. On the SOC A3, there's a band here, a band here. On the defendant's reference sample, again, a band up here, a band here. And on number 117, again, a high molecular weight band there, and then the lower molecular weight band is down here.
Okay, and I'd like to place 400C on the Elmo. Could you please point out where the bands that match among those three samples are?
Okay. For the SOC A3, the high molecular weight band is here, and a lower band is in this position. For the defendant's reference sample, again, a band up here, and then a lower band again in that position. And then for number 117, the rear gate, the high molecular weight band is here, and the lower band is in that position again.
Okay. Your Honor, at this point, I'd like to bring in the light box and put all 8 autorads up there as well as 400A1, if that's okay.
Proceed.
Thank you.
Be careful if you recollect the box blew out our electricity the last time. And Mr. Harmon, do you have much more after that?
No, I'm... Just a couple questions and I'm done.
All right.
Put 400A1 up there along with the other autorad, the 8 autorads. Mr. Sims, would you, in the order I've got these, place the 8 autorads up there, and as well as 400A1? Okay, Your Honor, they're all in place now.
All right. Do you want to present these to the jury?
Yes, I'd like to give
As
the jury a
previously.
chance.
All right, let's start with juror number 7 today.
Just a couple more questions. Mr. Sims, now, why did you only do RFLP on
Excuse me,
117?
Mr. Harmon, do you want to step on the other side of the monster there?
Sure.
And we need, can we turn the light off, please?
Mr. Sims, you actually had 3 stains from the rear gate that you did testing on 115, 116, 117, is that right?
That's correct.
And why did you only do RFLP on 117 from among those 3 stains?
From among those 3 stains, the yields were lower on 115 and 116 such that it might be difficult to get any RFLP at all out of those 2.
Okay. Just a couple other questions. On some of these, just to go back, because it's been a long time since the jury heard the description of the RFLP process, in some of these autorads, there's something that looks like the San Andreas fault that goes across it.
Yes, there is.
What is that?
There was a tear in part of that membrane on the side extending into the middle, around the middle of the actual membrane that occurred during the batch probing process.
And the membrane is this fabric,
It's a nylon, yes. It's a
and it actually tore when somebody was pulling it off the film?
No, it actually tore during the manipulation process, the handling process, when it goes in and out of liquids or is opened up because it's contained in a plastic wrap.
And what effect does that have on the testimony you just presented here?
It has no effect.
What did you do then?
Well, thanks to the skill of our batch probing team, they were able to put it's not torn in half, so they were able to bring the 2 edges right up against each other so that you could still go through the whole probing process. I mean, theoretically, you could cut this thing in pieces and still size it. It just makes it life more difficult.
When in the sequence of probings was it that the membrane tore?
It was after the first probing, so it was after the D2 membrane was, or autorad was obtained.
And is that the only one where you can't see this line that looks like an earthquake fault?
Actually, I don't think you can see it in a lot of them. Some of them you can see it. Most of them you can't, as I recall.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Sims. I have no further questions.
All right. Mr. Scheck, do you need the display machine?
Yeah, just 1 second.
All right.
After, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Hell no! Hell no, don't give him that machine! No! Take it out of the courtroom. He bitched and moaned about it for 10 minutes. And now he wants to use it? No! Sanctions. I want sanctions today.
Well, Mr. Sims, good to see you, sir.
Good morning.
First of all, Mr. Harmon, at the beginning of his direct examination, mentioned that there were 3 areas that you were reporting on today, and that is results from the Bronco, results from the SOC, and results from the rear gate at Bundy. Is that correct?
Yes.
And as far as the results in the Bronco is concerned, sample 25 had already been tested by LAPD and was a DQ alpha of 1.1, 1.2. Is that correct?
That's my understanding,
And
yes.
that was consistent with Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
And that was a drop found in the carpet in the Bronco. Is that right?
Yes.
And the additional data that you presented to us, I guess, is on number 26, which was also a drop on the floor mat.
Yes, I don't know the exact distribution as far as it being a drop or a smear, but there was some blood on the floor.
So blood on the floor mat. And you did just a D1S80, and this came out 2425.
Yes.
And that's consistent with Mr. Simpson.
Yes.
And no indication of an 1818 allele that would indicate a mixture with Nicole Brown Simpson.
There was no indication of that.
Okay. All right. Now let's move to the rear
Just for a
SOC,
second. They
excuse me.
promised.
And, what you told us about
He's gone
is,
soon.
blood that was found, I guess, on the sock that was up on the calf area near the top of the sock.
Yes.
All right. And basically what you've reported to us today is some additional probes that you conducted on that sample. Is that correct?
Well, this was the first time I had presented any of the RFLP data on this sample.
But when actually, I think the last time you were here, just so we don't confuse things, even though you didn't present the data, we had a discussion, did we not, on the fact that you had been able to conduct RFLP testing and you had done some probes on that.
Yes, I recall that.
Okay. Now, so basically what you're here to tell us is that you did more probes there. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, could we turn to what is Defense 1192B, previously in evidence at chart? B. The last time that we discussed, now I'm at the rear gate. Okay.
Okay.
And the last time that we discussed, last time you were here, we had a discussion of the amount of DNA and the nature of the DNA on the rear gate. You recall that?
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, on your in your testimony for the prosecution, you had presented an analysis of the concentration of the DNA that was found on the 3 samples in the rear gate, 115, 116, and 117. You recall that?
Yes.
And then we went over a comparison of the Swatch DNA samples at 115, 116, and 117 based on your data. You recall that?
Yes.
And the basis of this comparison was to take what are known as nanograms, which is sometimes shortened as NG, is that correct?
Yes.
And compare it to the milligrams, and that's a measure of weight.
Yes, it was the nanograms of the DNA recovered to the milligrams of the Swatch material that was sampled.
Right, and this was part of what you were doing to try to give us an assessment of concentration. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
You missed
Could we
booty
show the,
impressions, though,
comparison? 'Cause
Ginny.
Mr. Harmon did ask you something here about why you didn't do 115, 116 in the amount of DNA. Now, in the comparison of the Swatch DNA samples to 115 and 116, you found that there was 2 times as much DNA in those samples as there was to number 6, which was a drop recovered at Rockingham.
That's correct.
Next. 15 times as much as 47, which is the first, which is a drop found at Bundy, correct?
Yes.
Next. 22 times as much DNA as number 48, another Bundy drop.
Yes.
Next. 135 times as much DNA as sample number 49, another Bundy drop.
Yes.
Next. And 25 times as much as number 50, which is another Bundy drop.
Yes.
Is there another one? Okay. Now, this comparison is in terms of the amount of DNA, but wouldn't it be fair to say that certainly as far as 47, 48, 49, and 50 are concerned, that what you're finding there with respect to those blood drops is that there was bacterial degradation of those samples?
Yes, again, and we discussed this in detail last time, but that's
Right.
my interpretation as to what most likely happened is that there was a big bacterial degradation of those samples.
Right. And as far as 115 and 116 are concerned, by the use of your yield gel and slot blot analysis, you did not find bacterial degradation in those samples.
I did not detect that same bacterial degradation type pattern that I saw in those other samples.
Thank you. Now, could we look briefly at 1192A? Now, 1192A is the comparison of DNA samples to 117, and that is the backgate sample for which you were able to do RFLP testing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you found 4 times as much, the concentration here to be 4 times as much. Oh, Howard, is that correct? Found in terms of concentration 4 times as much as number 6, a Rockingham drop,
Yes.
27 times as much as 47,
Yes.
45 times as much as 48.
Yes.
Can we have the next one? 270 times as much as 49.
Yes.
Next. 51 times as much as 50.
Yes.
Is there another one? And 11 times as much as number 52.
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, with respect to 117, in terms of your slot blot analysis and your yield gel analysis, you did not find the same evidence of bacterial degradation and contamination that you found on 47, 48, 49, 50, and 52.
Well, again, and I think we talked a little bit about this, but you recall there were only 3 of those 5 that you...
You're not allowed to gamble? I can't believe that. That's horrible. I go to the casino all of the time. I go $40, like $40. That's it. That's my limit. I go with $40, and that's not 100% true. I gamble with $40, never a penny more. All right, and I go with my daughter. She does the same thing. She has her $40. I have my $40 as soon as one of us is up, and it is up whatever we want to be up, like $10. We're up $10. Let's get out of here. Sometimes we drive the whole way there just to stay 10 minutes and leave because we're up. I do spend more money in the casino though because they have the drinks at the bar are delicious. They're just very expensive, but they are delicious. So I always have one. Yeah, at Hollywood. I go to Hollywood and Hollywood Casino here in Pennsylvania. I don't know what they do to those drinks at the bar, and I don't care. But me and my daughter go. We each have our $40. Most of the time, we leave with up a little bit because we leave when we're up. We do not stay and try to chase a bigger pot. We do not chase losings. Like if we lose, we don't chase that money, because that's how you get in trouble for gambling. By gambling too long, thinking you're gonna hit any minute now. You're gonna hit. No, you're not. And chasing it. Okay, I lost $10, but I know I can get it back if I just keep going. I'm gonna hit that little green pot soon or whatever. We don't do that. We go and we get a drink. I get a drink. She doesn't. She gets the free drinks where you just have to tip your server. I go to the bar and I get one of those drinks. I don't get them every time, but yes, you can get free booze at the casino if you wait for a server to come around. But they're so rare. So like, every 10 trips that we go, we might see one server total the whole night, and none any other night. And they usually have, these little mini cans of Coke, and you can get a little mini rum and Coke, blah, 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 and they're free. You just tip her. But me and my daughter might go twice a month now, maybe. We go twice a month now. We each bring her $40, and we each have our favorite lane. She likes this dragon spin. She likes one slot machine. She goes to one slot machine. I am a butterfly. I flitter all over the casino with my little $40. Sometimes it's table games, sometimes it's slots. I don't know what I'm there for. Whatever, I bounce around. But and I don't always get a drink. I might get a drink about every 4 times I go, because it's a treat. It's like, that's a treat for me. It's an expensive treat, but it tastes so good. But no gambling at all? That's crazy. Remember growing up, Catholic church, we had bingo like I don't know what day of the week it was, so I'm just going to say Wednesday. And then they raided the Catholic churches and they took all the bingos away because it was gambling. That was a big deal. It was scandalous. But it was fun. I don't remember what the bingo was, but I do remember at our church, it was a hot air balloon. So I remember, when I think of hot air balloons, I think of bingo. When I think of bingo, I think of hot air balloons. And when I think of either, I think of the FBI. There are, like, when me and my daughter go to the casino, I flutter around. I also hover. I do both. All right? I know where she is. I know which machine she's on. She goes to the same machine every single time. And she plays the same machine every single time. And no matter where I am in this casino, like if I go to a table, tables are hard for me to go to because she's not in my line of sight anymore. But I stay at a table for just a bit. I don't sit there for a long time. And then boom, back to my line of sight, because she gets so many people come up to her. So many men come up to her while she's there. And this machine that she's on, the chair for the machine is like, it's like 2 people wide. I don't know why. Normally the casino seats are all one ass wide. Hers is like 2 or 2.5. And they just come over and they just sit with her and start talking to her. So, yeah, I flutter near her most of the time. Whatever machine is sparkly the most. Oh, man. Yes. It would be so much fun to go to Vegas with me, but I'm telling you now, I don't care. If I'm up, I'm done. I'm not staying. Because if I stay in the casino, I'm going to give it all back to them, and then I'm going to pull more out of the Mac machine. So we would have to have fun at the buffet, at the hot tub, at something else. We would go in there, and I would flutter around, and I would try as many machines as I could, because I love that. And I would leave. I don't care if I've only been in there 10 minutes. Because I don't like, I don't know. If I go to Vegas with you guys, I would have a bankroll that I don't care if I lose or not. So I could stay there and play. That's probably what I would do. So yeah, I would stay longer with you guys. But when it's me and my daughter, We're only there to steal their money, which is not an easy task. So when you actually do steal their money, you leave. We have fun, though. We have fun on the car ride up. We have fun on the car ride back. We usually get something to eat together before or after, so it's a whole night, and it's fun. And now we're back to O.J. Simpson.
I mentioned that we actually had a yield gel on where we could see the bacterial degradation pattern.
Right.
So that's correct. We did not see that same pattern that we did see.
Fine. Now, finally, one other measure of whether or not there's bacterial contamination in samples, as reflected in RFLP testing, is your ability to detect DNA bands at the top of the RFLP membranes. Is that correct?
Yes, the bands that are at the top of the membrane, the top portion, those would tend to be the higher, well, they
I'm
are the higher
sorry.
molecular weight DNA bands.
You're
and
right.
Those are more subject to
It's not a
degradation
Mac
than the
machine.
lower bands.
That's my
The
bad.
reason that they're more subject to degradation is that they are larger,
Yes,
and that the process of bacterial contamination is such that the bacteria begins to eat away, and it's going to get the larger fragments earlier than the smaller fragments.
well, it will chop down the larger fragments, so they tend to get smaller is what happens, and they tend to degrade.
And if you were to have significant or even substantial, I think we use those two terms
Yes.
to make a distinction in regard to bacterial degradation. But if you were to have either significant or substantial bacterial degradation, what you would tend to find is that you might either lose bands at the top of an RFLP gel, or they would become faint in comparison to other bands.
Yes,
Now, on these samples, for example, I think it's, you can refer to your notes, D1S7 is a sample where you found on 117 high molecular weight a DNA band at the top of the gel at around 10,028 base pairs.
yeah, so for the rear gate, 117 is about 10342, so 10,342 base pairs.
All right, and literally that means that there's 10 of those, well, tell the jury exactly what that means in terms of base pairs, rather than have me describe it.
Yes, well, I think we've had some discussion about base pairs in DNA, and what we're talking about there is the G pairing with the C and the A pairing with the T, and each one of those is a base pair. So this would be 10,300 of those is the size of the fragment. So if you could visualize this, you recall seeing these, the hydrogen bonds bringing the two DNA strands together, there would be 10,000 some odd of these units together. And that's the size of this fragment after the restriction enzyme is cut it into the pieces.
And just to illustrate the point, Your Honor, may I remove from the light box and put up for a second on the Elmo, just so everybody can see exactly which order rad I'm referring to.
Yes.
The D1S7 order rad, just for illustrative purpose.
All right, Mr. Schechter, you're going to use the rest of the items on the box because the glare is...
Just before I do that then, just for purposes of D4S139, would you agree that that is another probing that had bands that appear to be in the upper range?
Yes, that's around 8,800.
All right, and let the record reflect that I'm just pointing for the jury to the particular order rad that has those, that Mr. Sims and I were just discussing. And now I'm moving to another one that's entitled D5S110. And again, with that, that has some bands at the top of the gel.
Yes, those bands are around 11,000.
Right, and as far as the D4S139 and the D5S110, those are pretty good and distinct bands at the top of those gels.
Yes, they are.
And that is consistent with your finding of no significant or substantial bacterial contamination on sample 117.
That's correct.
And I would suppose D17S26, the upper band there is also in the upper regions of the gel?
Somewhat now. We're getting a little more towards what I consider the middle range, but that's about 6,800, 6,900.
Okay. And all right, and could you just, if you do me a favor and come down here and just circle the high molecular weight band on 117. This is on the D1S7 order rad that I think you told us was something, let's stop. Something on the order of 10,030 base pairs. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And is there a lower band in this?
Yes.
All right, and those are fainter, actually.
Yes, and that's typically what is seen because there's a lot more copies of where the probe is hitting in the higher band than in the lower band. So when you see a spread like that, where the bands are quite spread out across or from the top and bottom to the gel, that usually the lower band is significantly weaker than the upper band.
But the fact that the upper band, which is more distinct and more intense than the lower band, that's another good indication that we don't have any significant or substantial bacterial contamination with 117.
That's correct.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Harmon?
Take on that last question.
Mr. Harmon, you need to do your questioning on the other side of the monster there.
Were there signs of degradation on any of those rear gate stains?
The yield gel patterns did not show the type of bacterial degradation that I talked about, although you can see from the photograph that the DNA is starting to degrade a little bit. It's not pristine DNA. In other words, it's showing some of this pattern whereby there's a high band and then it's starting to show a little smearing below that.
And time causes that to happen?
Yes, it does.
Environment?
Yes.
So Mr. Scheck kept asking you about the significant bacterial degradation with respect to the rear gate, and you said you saw none of that.
That's correct.
But you did see signs of degradation that you know are caused by time.
Yes, and exposure is the way I would put that.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Scheck?
That last question that Mr. Harmon asked you about seeing some smearing or smudging, you can't tell us anything, can you, about how much time would cause that kind of slight smearing, can you?
No, in other words, you typically see that little bit of degradation. It's not unusual to encounter that.
Even on something that's been there for a day.
That's possible, yes.
And in addition, in respect to those questions that Mr. Harmon asked you, the difference between sample 50, for example, which is found on the ground at Bundy within feet of the rear gate, sample 50 had significant bacterial degradation, did it not?
Well, again, let me check that real quick because I want to make sure that that's one of the samples that we did run the yield gel on. If you give me one moment, I'll check
Sure.
that.
Hey guys, remember 2 hours ago when they said he was going to be real quick with this guy? Normally when men tell me 15 minutes, I get
DNA
7.
8, which
3.
is LAPD number 50, on that particular sample, now we didn't see anything on the yield gel. There was none of this, no pattern, period. In other words, there was no high molecular weight, there was no degradation pattern.
But when you say there was nothing on the yield gel, what does that mean in terms of the amount of high molecular weight DNA you have?
Overruled.
In other words, we did not see any high molecular weight DNA from the blood stain.
And that's consistent with a sufficient amount of bacterial degradation that so much of the high molecular weight DNA was eaten away by the bacteria that you couldn't even get a reading on the yield gel.
That's certainly possible, yes.
No further questions.
Mr. Harmon? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Sims. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good to see you again.
All right. Almost as nice as mine. All right, Mr. Harmon, can we get the monster out of here? Mr. Wooden, would you assist him on that, please?
Make Scheck take it out.
All right, the people have their next witness available? All right. Without the reporter.
No, no, abso-freaking-lutely not. Get back to work. Oh my God, they're there for this whole video.
It's until 1 o'clock.
Whatever,
and I'd
just
like to see counsel
go.
in chambers in about 5 minutes.
Oh, true. True, then it's 6 months. Yo! Wait. What is going on, sir? Sir.
Get a chance to, I was talking with the prosecution.
I'm not rewinding
Mr.
it
Rubin, do you
anymore.
have your tape measure with you?
Right, and then I'd like also to be able to talk, our side to be able to talk to Mr. Rubin.
Sure.
After this. Thank you.
I'd like the option to sit in on that conversation.
Well, you know, we didn't
Counsel
sit in,
has no
we didn't have the
objection.
option, we didn't have the option to sit in all their meetings, and so.
Counsel, why don't you talk to your
All right,
client?
certainly are.
Have our ear touch representative. Right. I see we've been joined by Investigator Bell.
Investigator Stevens, Your Honor.
Yes, well, Mr. Stevens we've seen before. This is the first appearance we've seen of Mr. Bell. Also the first appearance of Ms. Filippi. Good to see you again. Let me ask you this. Which of the exemplar pairs of gloves are you proposing to use?
The extra large.
Which one of the four?
Oh, you want to see the pair?
No, I'm just, you're going to use one of the four that you have. Well, excuse me, one of the two.
Yes.
All right.
Although I did want to make an additional point on that issue with Mr. Cox.
Thank you very much for your time. Having expressed my belief that the court certainly does have the authority to do this, I have no problem with it. I just think that it should be in front of the jury, but what the court has proposed is certainly acceptable to us, that I can bring it out either on cross or making my own witness right today because he lives in New York, and that's fine. I'll hold off the argument with regard to any demonstrations until we see what happens at this point.
All right.
If that's all right.
All right, Mr. Rubin, why don't you step forward, please?
Could please ask, Your Honor, can I just, not to shift subject, can we find out how many witnesses the prosecution has today altogether so we know where we're going today?
Ms. Clark?
I'm sorry, I don't have to whisper. I have two.
Whoa!
Oh, no, that's great.
Whoa, what a question! How many witnesses the prosecution has today? That means today we're going to get through multiple witnesses. That's crazy. That's awesome. Finally, he said something I love. I heart it. I heart it.
Three.
Okay, so
3? No.
Mr. Darden has 1 and you have 2. And who are the 2? Can we find who your 2 are?
No, just what I told you before. Llewellyn Roberts and the custodian of records from the Mirage Hotel.
All right, and we're trying to work on stipulations. I'm just trying to find out the schedule.
Right. I did not take into account the other witnesses that would be called if we don't stipulate, but I kind of think that we will.
All right, then let me ask Mr. Simpson to stand, and Mr. Rubin, would you walk over, please, and conduct your measure?
What in God's good name are they doing over there? Come on. That's very scientific.
Not on, this is not, part is not on.
They're testing my patience today.
All right,
And I
counsel, I'm
have
going to ask
none.
you to all be quiet while Mr. Rubin does this.
It's about, want to do the measurement?
Yes.
It's about 95 inches.
All right, that was the left hand.
I'm sorry, for the record, Mr. Wicks asked if Simpson please close his finger and relax his hand.
Yes.
It's really in the area, plus or minus about 1/8 of an inch in the 9 I got it.
All right. All right, that's the left hand. All right, 9 5/8 on the right. All right. All right. No, we're not. All right, Mr. Rubin, would you step back and take your seat again, please? Thank you. All right, Mr. Darden, based upon the 9 1/2 and 9 5/8 measurements, what's your desires as far as Mr. Rubin is concerned? And Mr. Cochran, do you want some time of your own to chat with Mr. Rubin?
Yes, we would like.
All right. All right, Mr. Rubin? Certainly. Mr. Darden, once you complete your discussions with Mr. Rubin, I'll allow him to speak with Mr. Cochran. All right, Mr. Rubin. I think you'll just have to chat right there. I think you'll have to chat right there, because everything else is in operation in the back. Do we really need 5 minutes to talk to Mr. Rubin?
Unbelievable,
All right, is there
sir.
anything else we need to discuss? I'd hate to lose all this time.
Yeah, well, I'd like to then address the issue of, they said they wanted a demonstration. We got that one. In other words, I'll wait until some time.
Mr. Darden?
I wait until he finishes his conversation with Mr. Rubin.
Well, you were saying something, you're not
No.
having to talk to him again.
Do you wish to go forward with the use of the exemplar gloves provided by Eris?
I think that I do, but I need to talk to Mr. Rubin for just a couple more minutes.
All right, let me know when you're ready. In the Simpson matter, Mr. Simpson is again present before the court with his counsel. People represented. Jury is not present. Mr. Shapiro, did everything go well with Mr. Metzner yesterday?
Yes, thank you so much for
All right, well, would you convey to him the court's best wishes? All right. All right, Mr. Darden, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. We'd
All
like
right.
to have Mr. Simpson try on a new pair of Eris leather lights.
All right, and this is one of the exemplar pairs that we received from Eris Isotoner yesterday, correct?
That's correct.
All right, any comment on that, Mr. Cochran?
Yes, I'd like to be heard if you heard that.
All right.
May I add a couple of other points so that Mr. Cochran can respond to those
Certainly.
while he's at the podium? We're going to ask that Mr. Simpson be required to put the gloves on over at the defense table.
This is a bad idea,
And walk
sir.
over to the jury after he's placed them on his hands. We're going to ask the court to direct Mr. Simpson not to communicate with the jurors, and certainly not to communicate with me as well.
And when do you propose to do this? During the course of your request to recall Mr. Rubin?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and what else are you going to be calling Mr. Rubin for other than to testify that these gloves have the Brosser stitching and are exact replicas or part of the batch that was produced back in 90-91?
We're going to ask him to take a look at Mr. Simpson's hands after he places the gloves on, and then we're going to have him step back up on the witness stand and indicate whether or not it is a perfect fit or something less, and talk to him a little bit about the lining and a little bit more about shrinkage, and it shouldn't take very long at all.
All right.
Now, in the event that
Never
Mr. Simpson is
chase your
unable to place
losses.
his hands in the glove, we
Never.
have gentlemen here whose hands are larger than Mr. Simpson's.
And who would that be?
That'd be Mr. Bell and Mr. Stevens.
All right.
Thank you, Rick.
Mr. Cochran.
Spent an awful lot of time on gloves. The problem, however, is, Your Honor, last Thursday, the prosecution made a calculated decision to have Mr. Simpson try on some gloves that did not fit. And they are the relevant gloves in this case, and I want to address that issue to the court at this point. And I want to talk to the court. The relevance of the fit of these alleged new gloves depends on showing by the prosecution, it seems to me, of substantial similarity between the conditions of these new gloves and the gloves in evidence, items 9 and items 37, Your Honor. That's what's really relevant. Those gloves were found, one at Rockingham allegedly and one at the Bundy scene. So those are the relevant gloves that he tried on last Thursday that didn't fit. Now we're asked to take some gloves that were apparently found in the factory after an exhaustive search, made in the Philippines, then brought forward. And I think the court may want to take some testimony from Mr. Rubin. We thank you for the opportunity. There are basically, within the extra-large gloves, there are basically 3 different sizes in the extra-large. Mr. Rubin is, in fact, an expert in this area, and he shared his knowledge with us. There are the perfect extra-large, the snug extra-large, and the oversized extra-large. And so that, you know, within the extra-large, there's a little bit of play or give. We talked to him about that. He or no one else can tell us the condition of those gloves, the gloves in evidence, as of June 12th, which is the relevant time, Your Honor. We do know, in fact, that as of June 21st, some measurements were taken of 9 and 37. So we know those particular measurements. But we don't. We're now on June 21st, 1995, and so. You know, this is an experiment that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter whether these gloves would fit Mr. Simpson or these other gentlemen at this time if they're extra large. In fact, I think Mr. Rubin would testify if you allow us a brief hearing. Is time flying? If Mr.
This is my fondest dream come true.
Is time flying? Temper speed. This case is about to be over. Is that it? So time flies when you're having fun, Your Honor. Yes. So, if I might proceed.
Please.
Your Honor, with regard, if Mr. Rubin will testify that extra-large gloves will, within the range that I just described for you, will fit 99.5% of all men in America. And that's all nice to know, and the jury needs to be told that, because what does that have to do with anything? The question is the gloves in this case. So it's not particularly helpful. Also, Mr. Rubin will talk about gloves stretching out from north to south. And Mr. Darden has already told us that they have 2 very large men here who purport to have hands bigger than Mr. Simpson, and they tried these gloves on. I mean, they're being a lot more careful. Well, these gloves are stretched out by their hands. So, I mean, these are not pristine gloves. Mr. Rubin will also say that the gloves in evidence, 9 and 37, have been handled in such a way he can't tell us anything about how they were back on June 12th or on June 21st. Which would be a much more relevant time. And he himself
try very hard not to say anything.
Messrs. Bell and Stevens try on these gloves that our client's now going to be asked to try on today. That's not fair. We don't have any pristine gloves from that standpoint. Further, if the court pleases, it just seems like under the cases that I now want to cite to the court that you have the authority, you have the discretion to exclude this bogus courtroom demonstration in which they seek to recapture some credibility for the mistake they made last Thursday. And I'd ask the court to read several cases that I think would be on point, or at least with regard to the exclusion of evidence. And I would cite to the court case of People versus Vaiza, V-A-I-Z-A, 244 Calap 2nd, 121. I would cite additionally People versus Boyd, 222 Calap 3rd, 541. People versus Gilbert, 5 Calap 4th, 1372. People versus Bonin, 47 Cal 3rd, 808. And the key issue with respect to substantial similarity is not that they're the same glove, Your Honor, but the condition of the gloves. And that's what we're talking about. The alleged shrinkage, if any. The alleged condition, if any. Mr. Rubin can't tell us whether those gloves, when they were purchased, if they were purchased back in 1990, were the snug extra large, the perfect extra large, or the oversized extra large. And so that's a real problem. The condition of the gloves at that time, on June 12th, is what's relevant to this jury. And we're not here to mislead this jury. We're not here to try to have somebody recover from a mistake they made. This is not anything personal. This is a case that Your Honor will make us try based upon what's appropriate evidence. And that's not fair to my client. As to the next point, I just want to point out to the court that, and you sustain many of my objections, it was Mr. Darden who was doing most of the talking. You had allowed a demonstration. Mr. Darden took it upon himself to go forward and ask Mr. Simpson to grip something because they were embarrassed. And he kept talking, and I kept objecting, and it was totally unfair. They're the ones who asked to have Mr. Simpson over there. Now, because they're so wounded, they don't want him over there. That's unfair. If he's going to try on these gloves, he should try them on right in front of the jury again. But the point, let me just summarize what I tried to say. These gloves would fit almost every male in America, these new gloves, and especially since they've been stretched. I mean, they're being very cautious. What have they done today, Your Honor? They've had his hands measured. They bring 2 big fellows down here who had their hands in these gloves. They've had Mr. Rubin have his hands in these gloves. What kind of test is this? We're just spinning our wheels because they want to end on some kind of a high note, and I think it's very, very unfortunate. And it's the burden of proof is on the prosecution to show that there's the similarity, a substantial similarity of conditions of these gloves. And they can't do it. And we ask for a hearing on that point before we proceed, Your Honor. It's totally unfair. And if you rule against us, and I'd ask you to look at these cases because you have wide discretion in this matter, and I'd ask you to do that. And then if you rule against us, then certainly Mr. Simpson should be able to try these gloves on in front of the jury, just as he did before. And if there's going to be, and I would ask you to caution counsel not to make all these statements back and forth. Mr. Simpson was only responding to what he was saying to him and trying to comply, but he didn't like the results, so now they want to change that. You know, it's really strange, Your Honor, where we hear all this talk for months about this search for truth, and now they want to do everything in secret. We want it to be in the open. So that's where we are, and I would ask the court to read the cases, and I'm asking specifically for a hearing. If you have any questions about the representations I made about how many people these gloves would fit, the people that tried on these gloves, and this is just a demonstration that takes us nowhere and means nothing, Your Honor, because the only real test is then it's extremely prejudicial, it seems to us also. So I think that would be very, very unfair.
Mr. Darden?
Well, I think it is.
I am concerned about the point raised by Mr. Cochran regarding the trying on of these gloves by Messrs. Bell and Stevens.
Untrue, Your Honor. Mr. Bell and Mr. Stevens tried on a single pair of gloves, the same gloves. I myself kept in my possession another pair of extra large gloves. And only Mr. Rubin has seen those gloves to measure them. So I don't know where he gets that.
All right, so it's
That's
your
not the case.
representation to the court that the ones that were used with Mr. Stevens and Mr. Bell were the second pair?
Yes.
All right, the record should reflect that yesterday we did receive from Aris 4 pairs of extra large. The court kept one, gave 2 to the prosecution, gave 1 to the defense. I indicated I wanted to keep one pair of extra large in the court's possession for precisely this reason.
And I've asked Mr. Yokelson to call the general counsel for Aris on your behalf to obtain another pair.
All right, do you have any objection then to using the pair that the extra large pair that the court kept in its custody yesterday for your demonstration? So there's no question, nobody's put these gloves on.
Oh, let me take a look at them.
Oh, wait a minute. Is he questioning the court?
No, I'm not questioning the court. I mean, if you have a pair of gloves, I want to take a look at them.
All right?
I'm sure there won't be a problem, but I would like to take a look at them.
All right.
Yeah, may I say one other thing?
I do agree with Mr. Cochran's point, though, that a foundation will need to be laid, whether or not these are, in fact, as represented by Mr. Rubin, to be from that particular run, the Brosser stitching, the sizing, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
If you lay that foundation, then I'll allow the use of these new gloves. If there is a demonstration, if you do request that demonstration to take place, it will take place at the direction of the court. I will direct Mr. Simpson what to do and not to do, and counsel will make no comments during the course of that demonstration. Is that clear?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You need Mr. Simpson or the court?
Either.
May I approach?
You may. And Mr. Cochran, do you want to approach?
Sure, Your Honor.
The court kindly lay the ground rules for us in more detail at sidebars before
No, what I will do is, after Mr. Rubin has testified to the foundation, if I'm satisfied with the foundation, then I'll allow any other comment at sidebar. If I overrule any objections that exist at that time, I'll have Mr. Simpson step over to the podium, have him try on those 2 exemplar gloves, the extra large that the court kept. I'll direct him to put them on and then to remove them, and with no comment from counsel or Mr. Simpson.
Will the court allow during the foundational phase, at least before the demonstration, a couple of questions of Mr. Rubin?
I'll allow you to take him on voir dire for that purpose, for the foundational purpose. Mr. Cochran? I'm sorry, Mr. Darden.
concerned about having Mr. Simpson, who seems to be in a rather animated mood today. That is to have him come over to the podium and put the gloves on, is that he will make facial gestures and other types of things in front of this jury.
Well, counsel, the problem is, what the jury needs to see is the fit of the gloves. The jury needs to see it. Mr. Simpson needs to be close enough to the jury panel so that they can see him. And the jury can take into consideration what other gestures or facial expressions Mr. Simpson makes during the course of that, and determining his credibility.
I've never heard of one, but I don't know. Maybe nothing
and evaluating this
happens.
demonstration. But I'm going to direct him not to make any comments and not to make any overt gestures towards the jury.
And the second is the lawyer.
I'm going to have the lawyers seated during the course of this demonstration.
So allow him to act up in front of the jury.
I'm not allowing him to act up, counsel. I'm going to direct him where to stand, what to do, where to turn.
Can the record reflect that Mr. Rubin is measuring
Yes.
your honest gloves?
Yes.
Sure.
All right. Anything else? I'm afraid to ask.
That's your second. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Rubin indicates that your extra large is a little smaller than my extra large.
Yeah, that's precisely the point, and that's why this demonstration is bogus. And the court knows you kept this extra large. I made the representation to you. You may want to take some testimony from Mr. Rubin, Your Honor, with regard to these gloves. That's the problem. Within the extra large, there's these 3 different sizes. And, nobody's ever tried these gloves on, but you get this lot out here, and it's a real problem for us.
Well,
the
we'll see.
demonstration.
Let's see what the testimony is, counsel.
Okay, can we do that? Thank you.
After Mr. Simpson puts on the court's pair, is there any reason why you can't put on my pair?
We'll see. We'll see what kind of foundation you lay for these gloves.
This is not a modeling show. I mean, this is a murder trial.
Counsel, all right, we'll proceed.
In addition, of course, the defense has a pair, but,
Yes, they do.
and
All right, counsel, also, I'm going to explain to the jury there were a number of matters that I had to take up out of their presence, which accounts for the delay. I'll tell them about the delay that we're going to have tomorrow because of the hearing we're going to have with Dr. Ware and the defense witnesses, who I don't recollect. All right. That will be in session with them tomorrow afternoon. That's the bad news. The good news is that the prosecution has announced that they will try to wind up by the end of next week. All right, so the jury will have some light at the end of the tunnel. All right, Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please.
No, sir. We are not going to have the jurors, please. We will have the jurors tomorrow, guys. Whew. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like a circus train wreck. It's like when you pay money to go see a circus and the circus is crap circus. Not good circus. Which I don't go to circuses anymore because either they have the elephants, and I hate that. I hate that the animals are just like, they're not free. Hate that. Or they have like the pictures of the elephants instead, which are just the holographics of the elephants instead, not. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a great day. So it's the weekend. Do something fun. And I will talk to you again tomorrow morning. Have a great day, guys. Bye. I will. I'm going to make videos all day, Josh. Bye.